Hello and welcome to the rest of my life. I'm Lance Ash, futilely continuing with this project. Had a 3-day weekend, got much done. Was naughty, utilizing dark chocolate to stay awake again. It's more powerful than you think, especially if your system is as clean as mine is. Made me kind of sick though, and now I'm suffering the ill effects of having to go into work with nothing. Got a lot to think about this weekend. Saw a really fantastic picture of the original Alice Cooper band dressed up in really gaudy suits with their hair slicked back, 1973. One of the greatest tragedies in the history of rock and roll is the original Alice Cooper band breaking up and Vincent Furnier going off on his own, taking the name with him. I had in mind the idea to talk about the way, I don't want to speak for everyone, but the way that I start to identify with personalities, specifically on YouTube lately. And you feel, I don't know, you feel a connection to these people. You feel like you know them, and you don't. I saw a piece of an interview that George Rockwell Schmidt did with somebody. A really long interview, like 4 hours long. And it's sort of depressing, especially if a personality keeps an air of mystery about themselves, keeps their private life private. Then that's when you especially begin to, I don't know, conjure up your own understanding of them and thinking that you know them. And then something happens to disappoint you. I don't know. I think a lot of it is, if somebody's producing work that is exactly what you want, exactly what you need, then a certain level of dependence crops up. And then something happens to disturb that. They say something or do something or reveal something that is contrary to the image you've built up of them. Not to say that he has, but so I used to watch Red Letter Media a lot, and they just started getting on my nerves. Used to watch the Young Turks a lot, and I couldn't take their purist attitude after a while. It's kind of like Mystery Science Theater. I got to the point where I couldn't watch Joel's episodes anymore. And I gave the new one a shot, and it's horrible. It's just horrible. I think I've gone over all these points before. So I'm hunting around on YouTube for something to listen to while I'm painting the last 2 days. And last night I stumbled across, it's somebody I've listened to before. He talks about music. And but I thought that his channel was mainly about Kiss, and it's not. He's got some other stuff on there. So I started listening to him talk about Cheap Trick and Van Halen. And it wasn't great, but it was entertaining enough, engaging enough to listen to while I'm painting. If all goes according to plan, I should be able to finish the current painting before the end of the year, and then I'll have 35 for the year, I believe. And the book I'm reading right now, I'm actually reading 2 books at the moment. There's no way I'm going to be able to finish them for the year, before the end of the year. So, this weekend I went to the University of Georgia Library and I checked out some stuff. 3 of the books I got are books of poetry. So I'm bringing one of those to work tonight. Just read that instead. One is a book of poems in German by Robert Gerhardt, who was, I guess you'd say, a humorous poet, a writer of light poetry, associated with the magazine Pardon. And then I think he was also associated with Titanic. And the other 2 are by, I can't think of how to pronounce the name, Czech poet associated with the Prague Surrealist group, Václav Nitzval, I think was his name. Anyway, it should be pretty easy to read. It's a tiny little book. I'm trying to think if there's anything I had specifically in mind to talk about. I really don't want to rehash this whole YouTube personality business because I've done it before. I think one of the reasons that it affects me is because I'm looking for stuff to listen to as opposed to look at. It's interesting that correlates to the fact that my videos are all essentially radio shows. And I can't remember how Marshall McLuhan describes it, but there's more, you're more engaged with radio because you have to do half the work. Oh, me. And that's why on YouTube, it's more important for me to find something that's long, at least 30 minutes, and isn't stuffed with ads. I don't have Alexa or Siri or any of these other, whatever you call them, products. But I would imagine that you're able to use them to skip ads. You know, say, computer, skip ad. That'd be great. When I'm painting, the laptop is behind me on a table. So if an ad comes on, I've got to get up and turn around and click the skip ad button. I found something that was interesting, but it was really something that would demand looking at. It was apparently back in 2017, Stanley Tucci made a movie about Giacometti, starring Jeffrey Rush, and so he did an accompanying documentary about Giacometti. But the thing is, I really don't like Giacometti's sculptures. I like his paintings a lot. Or at least I like them a lot better than the sculptures. But anyway, that was that rarity. When I went to the library, I also got a book full of cartoons from Charlie Hebdo. Makes me wish I could speak French, read French anyway. It's funny, with French you can kind of figure out some of it because there's so many connections between English and French. You would think that'd be true with German because English is fundamentally a Germanic language. But it's like English is a Germanic language with a sort of French-ishness stretched over the top of the framework. It's going to be a long day, long night. I got this week to go until Christmas, and then the next week to go until New Year's Eve, and then we'll be through with this shit. But they're gonna pull the usual crap and try to make me work overtime, and I'm not going to. I'm the second senior most person up there in my operation. I'm not going to do it. I had the idea this weekend there was a movie I know what it was. For some reason, I thought of the Icelandic Saga episode of Monty Python, and I watched that this weekend, and of course I've probably seen it 7 times before, but it really is one of their best episodes. That's about as much as I can watch, half an hour. I just don't have the patience to sit down and watch a whole movie. If I did watch a movie, it would be something like, oh my God, I'm trying to think. Well, it would be an older movie, I know that. It would be some kind of classic. Oh, I wouldn't mind watching Breathless again. Le Bout du Soufflet. Come on. Is it Le Bout or A Bout? Le Bout du Soufflet. I don't care what Mark Kermode says. There's no way that the remake with Richard Gere is better than the original. Give me a break. Oh, I'll tell you something interesting. Did I already talk about this? No, there's no way I did. There's a commercial I saw, apparently when I was 4, after having rediscovered it, that I remember, not in detail, but I remember the feeling of it. And I've thought of it periodically over the last 15 years or so. And I found it out of the blue. I don't know how I remembered that it was about coffee creamer, but it was. It was the Coffee Mate commercial, 1974, starring Jim Davis, best known for his role on the sleazy television show Dallas. And what I remember about it as a kid was he's going through this other guy's apartment looking for something to put in his coffee, right? And that's essentially what happens in the ad. And you know, a 30-second ad. And what was interesting about it to me is that it's like a little movie. You see him get off a trolley car, and you see Coit Tower in the distance. So you know you're in San Francisco, but nobody has to tell you. No words have to come up on the screen and say, "This is where you are." Infantile minds of the future. And when he gets in the apartment, and this is all in voiceover. He's not saying anything. His mouth isn't moving. He's thinking this. And he says, "Great apartment. Nice of Al to let me use it while he's away." That's the first thing you see once he gets into the apartment. And then the camera is on the other side of the cabinet shelves, looking at him. So it's like the camera's inside the cupboard, right? And you see him open the refrigerator. No. First you see him look at the coffee pot, which is in the cupboard. And he says, "There's the coffee pot." And then he opens the refrigerator and looks in and says, "Guess I'll have to drink it black." This is before he discovers the jar of Coffee Mate. And anyway, but the thing is, I guarantee you, if that ad was made today, it would show. He would at the very least say, "No milk," or "No half and half." Guess, because it's just presumed by the people who run our lives that you're too stupid to figure out what he means when he says, "Guess I'll have to drink it black." But it's just obvious. And then he puts the Coffee Mate in the damn coffee, and oh, it's so wonderful. And another thing, he's got a great big dent in his nose. I don't think that they would allow that today. They certainly wouldn't allow an older cowboy actor to do an ad for coffee creamer. I don't know. It's interesting to me because it's a little movie, essentially. And that the message is delivered with a little bit of assumption on the part of the makers of the commercial that you're an adult, you can figure out what we're saying. That commercial was from 1974. So you're talking about the tail end of a generation that had an appreciation for Jules Feiffer and the admittedly semi-intellectual aspects of Playboy magazine, and I don't know. It kind of struck me. Do they have film festivals where people make 30-second movies? Essentially commercials, but not for any specific product. That would be interesting to see. Oh, my brain is working now, if not my body. It's going to be rough. By the time I get to that last break, I'm going to be falling asleep. I'm trying to think what else I saw this weekend. Oh my God, hasn't Saturday Night Live gotten to just the bottom of the barrel? It's so stupid, so flimsy, so flatly. Like I say, it's not enough for them to. The woman who impersonates Ted Cruz, it's not enough for her to kind of look like Ted Cruz and kind of sound like him. She has to come out and say, "Hi, it's me, your favorite senator from Texas, Ted Cruz. Clap, 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 clap." They would never have done that 40 years ago, 50 years ago. I remember a Christmas episode from 80-something with Joe Piscopo, and he's having eggnog with this woman in her apartment, and he sips the eggnog and he says, "Remind you of anything?" And he's talking about semen, but it's not spelled out. It's just, there's the joke. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. They'd never do that today. All right, I think that's it. So, goodbye.